Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Haunt Talk. On today's episode, we are going to be reviewing Land of Illusion. It's around the Cincinnati area. I don't remember the exact...
Middletown.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like a haunted scream park. But before we get into the review, just a couple quick things. Make sure you check out some of the other stuff we're doing if you're interested in like horror movies, stuff like that. We just finished another short film. Right now it's currently just on Amazon Prime. Free to watch if you're a Prime member, 99 cents to rent. If you're not, there will be a link for that in the description. We also have some haunted like real place videos. I'll call it a Haunted Adventures, like a vlog we do. That's also in the playlist. There's like 4 episodes right now, and we'll be adding more throughout the coming year. And make sure to like us on Facebook, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like the video, comment, let us know if there's any places you want us to visit. And yeah, so we're going to be doing this review a little bit different than the others. So instead of doing, we usually do sets and props, and then we do scare factor and actors. So this place has quite a few what I would consider to be substantial haunted houses.
Yeah.
And we don't want to make this review 3 hours long and give each single house its own full like categoristic scores. So what we're doing is we're going to tell you basically how long it is. We're going to just give each house an overall score, and then at the end we're going to basically give you a value for the entire attraction, what our scoring is on that, and then also just an overall score for the entire thing. So this is going to be a little bit different because I think that's just the best way to do it, because each of these places kind of needs to talk about individually.
Yeah.
So the order we're going to be talking about them is just simply the order that we went to them. So the order we're talking is not necessarily least to great or, greatest to least or anything like that. It's just the order that we actually went to them, because we actually gave things basically scores as soon as we got done with them, so it's fresh in our mind.
Yeah. All right. So we're going to start with Temple of Terror.
Mm-hmm.
This one was like a very Indiana Jones-ish
exactly
themed.
Remind me a little bit of like Legends of the Hidden Temple. Like,
Yeah.
Show kind of like that. It's kind of like
Exactly.
spoopy, and I don't know, I thought it was cool. Yeah.
Yeah, it was very much like that. Yeah, very overall, everything was pretty much themed to that.
Yeah.
They didn't
deviate from that much at all. Some standout scenes that were in there. They had a really cool rope bridge you actually had to walk over a river.
Yeah.
They had a thing
cool.
that something that this place does a lot actually is like little places, kind of like think an amusement park where they take a picture on a roller coaster. Well, this place does it in particular scenes where you're just going to get the crap scared out of you. Like there was one scene where there's an actor distracting you, and when he's distracting you, the whole ceiling falls down on you, and then as soon as it bangs, they take the picture.
Yep.
That one really scared me. That whole particular scene did. But I really liked this. Like I said, I thought it was fun, and it was very temple themed.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of cool scenes in there, but the standout one was definitely that for me. And actually at the end of that one, once we got off the bridge, there was a guy in a ghillie suit that blended in perfectly that scared the crap out of Kim.
He did.
He actually made Kim squeak.
Yeah, I did squeak.
I'm real easy to make scream or startle. I'm pretty easy in that regard. It's like it's really hard to freak me out, but it's pretty easy to get a jump out of me. Kim's a little bit harder, so that was nice to actually hear her scream. That was fun. The only thing that was bad about this one is like the whole first half of the house was like no actors.
Yeah.
But about halfway through it got really good though.
Yeah, because we were like walking and we're like, okay, well this kind of sucks. There's nobody in here. Is this going to be like the whole thing? And then all of a sudden they just came out of nowhere and they just barraged us with scares, and it was just like, okay, this is cool. This is a lot better.
Yeah.
So, that was good.
There's a few things that were a little derpy in there looking like there's some animatronics that needed a little bit of TLC. And there's a couple hallways that were dark, but for the most part I really did enjoy it. We gave and this one took about 7 minutes to go through.
Yeah.
So about a decent amount of time for a Scream Park haunt.
Mm-hmm.
We gave this one a 7.5. was the ranking that we gave this one. I'd say a strong 7.5. It was still, I actually liked it quite a bit. If there was more actors up front, I would probably have been like a whole point higher, but it's just that half the house, like nothing happened.
Yeah.
But, so the next one we went to, which is right beside the Temple of Terror, was Dr. Psycho's.
Yes. This one was kind of hospital-ish.
Well, it was so basically I think what it was, they have like a whole story, like most of the houses somehow intertwine their story together, but basically it was like a traditional haunted house, but that was owned by like a crazy doctor.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a mixture of like a typical like traditional haunted house.
And then like hospital
Right.
medical theme
Cause, like,
as well, because he's doing experiments.
Yes, because it's like his estates and exactly. He would
Yeah.
use that, so you get cool scenes like a cemetery and stuff. One of the standout ones for me was there was that crematorium that actually had real fire in the ovens, which was really cool.
Yeah, that was really cool, because usually it's just the fake stuff or
Mhm.
the lights or whatever. This was actual fire.
Mhm.
That was really cool.
And what's cool is it actually has some inside portions and outside portions. There's actually an upstairs section.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, that was surprising when we started going upstairs. I'm like, where are we going? Like, I didn't even know this had an upstairs.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
definitely seems like they've added some. And there's quite a few actors in this one.
Yes.
I don't feel like there was not an issue like there was the first one. And we never really caught up with another group. When we did, it was like they managed to get us spaced really quickly.
Yeah, that was one thing that they managed to do in a lot of the haunts was
Yeah.
somebody was there to kind of like segregate you and be like, okay, hey, what you doing? Like they would stand
Yeah,
in front of you
exactly.
and like kind of get some space between people, which was nice.
Yeah. I really liked this haunt. I thought it was a lot of fun. Like the scenes there was a lot of like really cool scenes. Oh, yeah. And they did have, this one had like a photo op at the beginning where they would like, I think they had you stand against a wall and then, was it air cannons they shot at you? For this one?
He pushed the button and yeah, like a
Yeah, it was air cannons
air
shot at
cannon,
you when
yeah.
they took your picture. So that was cool. But yeah, I really liked this one. We both really liked this one. We gave it an 8.5, and also it took about 8 minutes to go through, 8 to 9 minutes. So that was also, I think, pretty decent length for something like this.
Right, next one is Killer Clowns.
Mm-hmm.
May or may not be from outer space.
Right, yeah. I thought this would be the one that I hated the most, or that I shouldn't say hated the most, that I liked the least. Let's say it that way. That sounds nicer. But I actually thought they did a pretty good job with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There was actually some unique stuff there. You had your typical glow in the dark.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you had a lot of the drawings they had in the walls, like the 3D art. There was no glasses, but like it was still like a 3D-ish looking art.
Yeah.
It was really cool, like unique things.
Like it looked like they made like their own stamp or something and painted it because they were like really nice images.
Yeah.
Like and it was just really cool.
Really cool.
Yeah.
There was a pretty good chain maze, like a chain link fence maze that was in there that we
yeah.
actually got lost in a little bit. And the actor that was in there is good at not helping us, but then also
yeah.
kind of helping us to the point where we never got congested with other people.
Yeah.
They kind of controlled the flow, which I was impressed by. Because we saw another group, but the way they basically had us going, we never actually caught up to them.
Yeah.
And that took us a little while to get out of. I thought that was cool. Usually I'm not a fan of the mazes, but that one was pretty neat. They had, one of the more unique things was they had like this, it was like a bowling alley you were walking through, like you were on the bowling lane.
Pinball machine.
Oh, that's what it was.
It was a pinball machine because you walked into the room and it had the flappers.
Yeah, that's right.
You had to walk through the flappers.
Yeah.
And then they did have like bowling pins, like giant bowling pins in the middle of it, but like you were supposed to like kind of like be like, you know, between like going around on like a pinball machine or whatever. I think the pinball machine was bowling themed. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But the floor
Yeah.
in the pinball machine room moved, and I didn't know it did until the guy got on it
And like was
and
stomping.
just yeeted me over, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, he was stomping and yeah.
He stomped on it, and I went, ah! But it was really cool set. I was really impressed with that one.
And they also had like, it wasn't a real bridge, but it was like a thing where it's like, it looked like around you was like, you know, like see through, and there was like a bridge that was like with colored lights you had to like walk on. That was kind of cool.
That was cool, and that had the double vortex tunnel.
Oh yeah, that one is the one that had the double.
It had
vortex.
a double
That was
vortex
cool.
tunnel, which
That was
were
cool.
like
really long vortex. Oh yeah.
yeah, but they were spinning in opposite directions, which was really disorientating because like the one's going this way, and then you start walking, and then this one's going this way. It was
Right.
really weird, but it was cool because it was really long.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, for Killer Clowns, like I said, we were pleasantly surprised by it. We gave that one an 8.5.
And it took about 7 minutes to go through.
About 7 minutes. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It could take longer if you got lost in the maze, even longer than us, you know. But
yeah.
So the next one we're going to talk about is Big Mama's Revenge. Now this was, this was the one that was the most divisive. Kim did not like this one. So for one, the theme doesn't really make sense because it's really not a theme. It's basically, it's a weird haunted house. I struggle to even call it a haunted house. It's a whole bunch of real big rooms that's almost completely black. The first one's like giant tractor tires. And you just have to find the door. And that's basically each room, you have to find how to get out, and it's dark. I actually really appreciated it and thought it was cool how they just kind of went with this, and just like you just had to find the door. Like there was really no helping, and there wasn't many actors in there. There was a couple.
Yeah.
The guy helped us with the first room.
Mr. Panda.
Yeah, Mr. Panda.
Not a bear.
But yeah, he helped us with that one, but we didn't really get help in any of the other ones. And it took us a while to get out of there. How long were we in there? I had it clocked at 8 minutes because I start a stopwatch when we enter them.
Yeah, it might have taken a little longer than that. I don't know.
It was 8 minutes because I started as soon as we go in. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a couple. Well, we got with a group towards the end, and they helped us get through because they were kind of figuring things out. But it was confusing, and I could see you being in there for a much longer time.
Yeah, for
but
sure.
It took us 8 minutes. We gave it a 6. I think it is a little better than that, but it's not really a haunted house. It's more of just a dark maze.
Yeah.
More like a challenge thing. So just know that going into it. I think that kind of set your expectations for that, and I think you will enjoy it more. So the next one we're going to talk about is by far what this place is most known for. I believe when it opened up years ago, like this was all they had, which is the Middletown Haunted Trail. That's what they call it. So this one has a lot of scenes on it. It doesn't really stick to a theme. No, it's just a whole bunch of different themes. There's like themed areas you go through.
Yeah.
It's a whole bunch of themed areas. And I know they've changed it up since we went there because you start with we're going to call it the Area 51. They have it's like Area 72 or something they call it, but I forget. There's like a name they call it, I think. But either way, it's like an Area 51 thing. It's like a bunker, and there's like aliens that rise out of the water, and you're on a bridge, and the bridge actually moves.
Yeah, that was like
really disorienting.
Freaky. Yeah. I'm pretty sure there was somebody in the water, unless it was just a really good prop. But I think there was somebody in the water, which I give props to because it was kind of cold. Yeah. It was like 40 degrees, and they were in there. I'm like, brr.
Yeah, I didn't see him, but I was kind of like looking at the props and like trying not to fall off the bridge. So that was really cool. Another big standout scene was probably my favorite was there's these big, giant, creepy trees.
Oh, the trees were cool.
Those are really cool. It's like a forest of...
cool.
I wish we were allowed to film because I want a picture of them. You can probably find it if you look online, but they're just like underlit with like this purple light, and they're just these big, giant, creepy trees.
Yes, and there were tons of them, and they were like some of them were kind of tiki looking, and some of them were just like Wizard of Oz looking creepy trees, and just really, really cool. Mm-hmm. Very cool.
There's like a long like boardwalk thing you walked on. That was cool. Mm-hmm. They also had a really big bridge you walked over. It kind of looked like I don't know, something you go like on a ghost hunt with or something, like a long creepy covered bridge. Yeah. It was cool.
Yeah, that was cool.
The actors, they were really good as well. We got startled quite a few times. Quite a few times we did. There's a really awesome section where there's this... I'm like, what are these towers? And I realized there's school buses that are just been sit on their backs and they're just standing up.
Yeah.
Like a couple.
That
there's
was
like two,
wow.
two of them. Yeah, I'm like, what the heck? There's just like, jeez. That was really cool. They did a lot with it. Another one that scared the crap. I mean, there's a section where you walk in this like, it's outside, but it's really dark, and there's these two spike things that just go like from both sides, and they just like come slamming in on you, which startled us.
Yeah, that was one that stood out was it was a cemetery scene, and there was a horse up on like
Oh,
a thing, and the guy that was there, he kept yelling at the horse because the horse was neighing and it was moving and stuff, and he's like, "You're stupid, your horse is stupid," and all this stuff. And then another guy came out and like kind of scared us, and he's like, "Are you yelling at my horse?" And they were like talking to each other and doing like a little banter and stuff like that. But the set was just really cool. It was like a cool cemetery scene, and it was like lit very cool, and that horse was really neat too. But
and something else cool about the trails, it isn't all outside. Like there's actually a fair amount of you go in and out and in and out. There's a lot of scenes that we don't really mean it would take us, this is already going to be a long review because there's so much here. But the trail is 21 minutes long. Yeah. Like the trail was almost as long as adding up most of the haunted houses. Yeah. The trail is definitely the star of the show. We gave that a 9. It was just overall really good. There's a couple dead spaces like the boardwalk and a couple scenes that might have needed a little TLC, but for the most part, it was really good.
Yes.
So that brings us to the last house, which is Phobia. This one was probably the unclearest of exactly what the theme was. I mean, I know what it's supposed to be, like your fears, obviously.
Yeah.
But like, there's like insects. It was really just a lot of darkness.
Yeah. Well, I think they were playing on that because a lot of people do have fear of the dark.
And towards the end, it was freaky because it started getting narrower and narrower and darker
like
and foggy.
Claustrophobic kind of.
And we ended up catching up the group in front of us because they were getting freaked out. Like, they were just dead stopping. Because they spaced us out pretty good. And this one had a really cool photo op as well. They have you stand in this completely dark room, and then there's basically a semi that comes out, honks its horn, and its headlights are the camera flash, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah, except I kept seeing them.
The 2 spots through the whole house because it was so dark. Oh, yeah.
It was so disoriented. I'm like, what are those? Because it looked like 2 eyes because they were shaped like kind of ovalish, and it was just these dots like constantly. I'm just like, oh my god, like, go away.
Right. This one's cool. They had quite a few unique scares. There needed to be more actors in it, though. There was like the end was freaky, but there really wasn't actors. There were a couple good ones. Like there was one that was cool that had this staff or something. It was a real dark room, and it had like red glowing eyes. But then what happened, it had like white glowing eyes. Then what happened was they would turn on their eyes and come at you. So you kind of thought this thing was the thing to look at, and then they would all of a sudden be right there with their mask, which was pretty cool. Yeah. Phobia took us 7 minutes to get through. It might take you longer. The people in front of us turned their flashlight on their phone because they couldn't see anything. They were freaking out. So it took us 7 minutes to get through. But we also gave Phobia a 7. It was good, but it was one of the weaker of the haunted houses.
Yeah.
Now, one other thing that we're not talking about, we're not really reviewing, is they also have a dark ride that's included with admission. It is really dorky.
Oh, it's so
and they know it's dorky because it's from 1960s and it's from the World Fair. They haven't really done anything to it. It's worth riding. It's just for nostalgia and just history, but it is super dorky. Just know that going into it, that it's not meant to be scary.
And we actually got in line for this thing twice.
Yeah.
The first time, we got all the way onto the ride to the door before you go into it.
Broke down.
And it broke down.
Yep.
And we had to evacuate, and we're like...
But they got it running later, and then we jumped on that.
So we went to a haunted house, we came back, and we went on the ride. It's pretty dorky, but it's pretty cool, too, because you have to think about it. In 1960s, this was very innovative, and that's why it was at, like, the World's Fair, and it was like, oh my gosh, this is so cool. And then, a big boom of dark rides started probably because of this thing. And I don't know if you're familiar with dark rides or anything, but there's like some really cool ones around this area. Waldemere Park has a really awesome one called the Wacky Shack. That is like my personal favorite.
That was a good one, yeah.
Conneaut Lake Park has one called Devil's Den. There's just numerous ones, you can check them out. If you look at dark rides, I'm sure there's a list of them all over the place, but they're pretty cool.
All right, but let's go ahead and we're going to start wrapping this up because this is getting really long, I know. So we'll start talking about value. This place is very expensive. So it's $50 per person to go in. If you go, they only take cash, which is insane that a place this big only takes cash. That is so dumb. So you have to use an ATM, or you have to do it online. If you do it online, there's a $4 service fee. And I'm sorry, actually, at the gate, it's $55. Online, it's $50, but there's a $4 service fee. If you want to
save $1.
Yeah, exactly. You save $1. But if we wouldn't have done the fast passes, we got there at 9. We probably wouldn't have been able to make it through all the haunts.
Yeah.
And it's $25 more for a fast pass. So that makes it $75 per person after service fee. $79 at the gate. $80. So it is very expensive. The one cool thing is you can go through the haunts as many times as you'd like. So there's not a card where they punch it. So if you get a fast pass and you get to write it open, and I think this is how you get the most value. For us, we did Dent before this, Dent Schoolhouse. So that's why, we were a little bit late and didn't get to write it open. But I think if you get to write it open and you get your fast pass and you really just want to, like, you find your favorite haunt, you want to do a couple haunts a couple times, you definitely get more value.
Yeah.
Something else that's really cool about this place is they have a really awesome midway.
Yes.
Big fire pits right now because you can't have alcohol past 10 o'clock. They have to close the bar down at 10, but they have a really cool voodoo lounge that has lots of alcohol, like different cocktails and stuff. They actually have a dedicated place to get food where they make food and stuff, and I guess it's pretty decent. We didn't partake in any of that because I was going to actually get a drink, but they're cash only and we didn't have cash. And by the time I got there for the first 2 houses, it was like 10:05, so we couldn't get anything. That's not their fault though. That's not their choice.
They have a live stage. They have a stage where they have live acts. When we were there was a comedian, which nobody was paying attention to at all.
Yeah, but I know they have bands sometimes.
They have bands. They had a DJ going on when we came out.
There's actors. There's one that was in a bed coming out and scaring people.
Yeah, that was really cool. I forgot about her. Yeah, she was like she was basically doing The Exorcist, and she was laying in a bed, and she was just scooting around.
Right.
I think she was in a wheelchair, like an electric wheelchair, and then the bed was kind of like around her, which I thought was really cool. And then there was a Harley Quinn looking character that was walking around as well.
And there was probably more too, but we didn't spend much in the midway because we were just doing the houses. We still, it was like, 12:30 by the time we left.
Yeah.
So we were there for quite some time. Because even though we have fast passes, we still waited in each line probably about 10 minutes.
Yeah.
I mean, if we didn't have the fast passes, though, you're talking like an hour to 2 hours per house.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying, like, especially if you're going on, we went on a Friday, which they say is one of their slower days, but it's still the weekend. I mean, Saturdays are even worse, I guess. So plan on maybe getting that. But there is quite a bit to do there, and we were saying it's one of the only places we actually feel earns the title Scream Park.
Yes.
Because it just, you can tell that when you go in there that a lot of love and care is put in these places, and they're not just like little pop-up houses. Like, they're like houses that sit there, and they built this midway for this, and it's like dedicated for it, and it feels like that, which I think is really cool. Value, we gave them a 7.5, and the only reason it's still decent is just because it is really expensive. Like, you're talking like the same ticket price to go to like an actual amusement park like Cedar Point. But I still think that it's worth it, if you're in the area, because you do get a lot for that ticket price.
Yeah.
You do get quite a bit. And the fact that you can go through houses as many times as you want while they're open definitely adds to that.
For sure.
So that brings us to our overall score, just ranking the attraction as a whole. We gave that an 8.5. Definitely highly recommend it. There's some things that I would like a little bit of improvement on. Maybe a few more actors, stuff like that. A couple of places, like I said, need a little bit of TLC. But for the most part, I thought it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
They usually have like a hay wagon zombie thing, but that's not going on right now because of the Rona. But usually they have that as well. But yep, that does it for this review. We also have a review for the Dent Schoolhouse, which is not that far away, so make sure you also watch that one. And subscribe to the channel for our future updates. We have lots of reviews for haunts. We have more coming up, and we'll see you guys in the next video.
Bye.